Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive?
Always. Where are we headed today?
Well, this time we're going on a little virtual trip to South Africa.
Ooh, South Africa sounds fun.
It is. And get this, our main destination is their oldest zoo.
The oldest zoo, huh? I'm intrigued. How'd you find out about this?
I was going through this travel newsletter called Love to Visit South Africa, and the headline just grabbed me.
What was the headline?
It said, "Where is the oldest zoo in South Africa?"
Okay, they definitely know how to get your attention.
Right. Like, come on, you got to tell me now.
So, did they
Yeah.
spill the beans? What's the oldest zoo?
It's the Pretoria Zoo.
Pretoria Zoo. Okay. I've actually heard of that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of famous. It's got that national status thing going on.
National status. What does that even mean for a zoo?
Well, it's the only zoo in South Africa with that designation, so it's a pretty big deal.
So it's like more than just a place to see some animals.
Definitely. It's like a symbol,
Right. Yeah.
of South Africa's commitment to protecting their biodiversity.
Oh, I see. So it's kind of a big deal for conservation too.
Exactly. And when you consider it's been around for over a century,
Over a century. Wow.
you realize how deep its roots are in like the country's history and identity.
100 years of animals and people, and but they've got stories for days.
Oh, absolutely. They've probably seen it all, from how we care for animals to like how people view zoos in general.
Speaking of planning ahead, there's this part in the newsletter. It's about spending a day in Cape Town,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all about booking stuff in advance
Yeah.
because South Africa is such a popular spot.
Right, right.
You got me thinking, maybe we should be thinking about tickets for this Pretoria Zoo too.
Yeah, good point. I mean, if it's the oldest and it's at that national status, it's probably pretty popular.
Yeah. Probably smart to book early.
Especially like if you're going during peak season, you wouldn't want to miss out.
Okay, noted. Book Pretoria Zoo tickets early.
Yeah.
Got it. So, what else is in this newsletter besides the zoo stuff?
Well, there's this section called Around the Web.
Okay, around the web.
Yeah, and it's got like a mix of places and things to do.
Like what?
Well, first up is the Marikella National Park. It sounds amazing.
National Park? Okay.
Then there's this super fancy guest house near King Shaka International Airport. It's like French style, all luxurious.
Ooh la la. I could go for some luxury after a long flight.
Right. And then for something a little more adventurous,
Uh-huh.
they mention this sardine run diving experience. Sounds intense.
Diving with sardines.
That's a new one.
I know, right? Apparently it's supposed to be incredible.
Okay, I'm adding that to the maybe list.
And to wrap it up, they talk about this town called Stilbaai. It's on the coast. Sounds super charming.
And of course, no travel newsletter would be complete without.
Food recommendations.
You got it.
They mention a restaurant called Fat Zebra. That name, right?
Fat Zebra. I love it. It's memorable.
I know. I kind of want to go just because of the name.
Me too. Okay, so we've got national parks, luxury guest houses, sardine diving, and a fat zebra. It's like this newsletter is really showcasing all the different sides of South Africa.
It is. And it makes me want to go even more now.
Oh, yeah, me too. Especially after seeing that picture they share.
Oh, right. The sunrise photo.
Yes. It's in the From Social Media section. It's from Langa in KwaZulu-Natal.
It's gorgeous. Makes you really feel the beauty of South Africa.
Totally. And then, of course, there's the food section.
South African food you will love.
Ah,
I remember that one.
yep. And the dish they highlight, it's called patchikos.
Pachikos. What is that?
It's like a traditional South African stew. They say it's a must-try.
Okay, you had me at stew. I'm adding that to the
Fun.
list too.
Good choice. Oh, and there's one more section, a fun one.
Oh, what is it?
It's called Only in South Africa, and it's all about, get this, how to skip winter in Ballito.
Skip winter.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
I know, right? So it seems like South Africa has a little something for everyone, no matter when you go.
It does. But let's not forget about our main attraction today.
The Pretoria Zoo.
The oldest in South Africa, national status, all about conservation. What's it really like to visit?
Well, think of it this way. You're not just going to see animals.
Okay.
You're stepping into a piece of South African history.
Ooh, I like that.
You'll learn about their unique ecosystems, the challenges they face, and all the incredible work being done to protect it all.
So it's like a glimpse into the soul of South Africa, its connection with nature, and its dedication to conservation.
Exactly. And remember, this newsletter is all about enticing you to explore. So consider the Pretoria Zoo your starting point.
I love that. The gateway to a whole world of discovery.
Right. And with all that history behind it, imagine the changes the zoo has seen.
Oh, I know. over a century.
Animal care, conservation practices, even how people view zoos, it's all changed so much.
It makes you wonder, what stories could the Pretoria Zoo tell? From its early days to now being this leader in conservation, it's got to be fascinating.
You bet. It really is like a living museum almost, showing how we've changed, how we see the natural world.
I bet they've got like a whole archive somewhere filled with old photos and documents and stuff.
Right. That would be so cool to see, like how the animal enclosures have changed over time.
And the conservation stuff, how they do things now versus back then.
Yeah, and even like how people's attitudes towards zoos have changed.
Makes you think. All those years, all those stories.
Hmm.
Oh, speaking of which, this whole national status thing,
Yeah.
what does that actually mean? Like, what does it involve for them?
Well, it means they're held to a higher standard, right? For everything.
Everything.
Yeah, animal welfare, conservation, research, education, the whole shebang.
So it's not just about, like, putting animals on display.
Nope. They're at the forefront of like protecting South Africa's biodiversity.
Wow. So they're actively involved in conservation.
Big time. They've got breeding programs for endangered species. They do research,
Oh, boy.
animal behavior, new conservation methods, and they educate the public too
Yeah.
about the importance of biodiversity, all that.
That's amazing. It's like a zoo, a research center, and a conservation hub all in one.
Exactly.
Think of the impact they have, too. Inspiring all those visitors to care about wildlife and the environment.
For generations, probably. That's quite a legacy.
It is. All this talk about conservation and the zoo's role, it makes me think about that food section in the newsletter.
South African food you will love.
Yeah, that one. You think the Pretoria Zoo serves any of that stuff?
Good question. Like the Pachecos.
Yeah.
Oh,
I feel like you would fit perfectly,
totally. A lot of zoos are getting into that now. Serving local food.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It adds to the experience.
Like you're immersed in South Africa, seeing the animals, learning about the culture. Might as well taste it too.
A full sensory experience.
Exactly. Imagine you're walking through the Pretoria Zoo, the sun's on your face, you hear all these incredible animal sounds,
I love that.
and then your stomach starts rumbling and you smell this amazing aroma wafting over.
Ooh, yeah.
It's pachecos, cooking in a big pot, all those spices. You just have to try it.
Perfect way to end a day at the zoo. Little taste of South African culture right there.
Okay, now I'm adding try pachecos at Pretoria Zoo to my to-do list.
Haha, good one. Oh, and while you're making lists, remember that top 10 places to visit section?
Oh, yeah, I was thinking about that earlier. Maybe after the zoo, a trip to Marrakil National Park.
Sounds good to me. Or, that French-style guest house. Relax a little before you head home.
Ooh, that does sound nice. So many possibilities.
It's South Africa. There's always something amazing to discover.
True that. But before we get too carried away planning our dream trip, let's refocus.
Back to the Pretoria Zoo.
Yeah, we've talked about its history, the conservation stuff, why it's nationally important, but what makes it truly unique? Like, compared to other zoos worldwide, what sets it apart?
Well, besides being so old and having that national status, it's known for its amazing collection of African wildlife.
Okay, so more than just your usual lions and tigers and bears, huh?
Oh, way more. It's all about showcasing animals that are native to Africa.
Like what kind of animals are we talking about?
They've got the African wild dog, the southern ground hornbill, even like pangolins.
Pangolins, those are like super rare, right?
Yeah, they're pretty hard to find in other zoos.
So it's like a really concentrated dose of African biodiversity all in one place.
That's a great way to put it.
Almost like a living safari.
It is. And the way they've designed the habitats, it's all very natural.
Oh, yeah, that's so important. It's not just about seeing the animals, it's about making sure they have a good environment.
Exactly. They're thriving.
Yeah.
They can really be themselves.
Makes a big difference.
Yeah.
I've been to some zoos where the animals just look sad.
Yeah, you don't get that feeling at Pretoria Zoo. It's all about respect for the animals and, their conservation.
That's good to hear. It's crazy to think we started with a simple question, where's the oldest zoo in South Africa?
Right.
And look where we ended up. This whole journey through history, conservation, adventure.
That's the fun of it, right? You never know where these deep dives will lead.
Absolutely. So to sum it all up, the Pretoria Zoo is more than just a zoo. It's this symbol of South Africa's commitment to its natural heritage.
A must-see for anyone who wants to experience the real South Africa.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
But here's something to think about.
Okay.
The Pretoria Zoo, with all its history, What kind of changes do you think it's witnessed over the years?
Ooh, that's a good one.
How has animal care evolved? What about conservation? And how do people view zoos now versus back then? It's a lot to consider.
It really makes you think about the future of zoos, too.
It does, doesn't it? Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into South Africa's oldest zoo.
Sounds good to me.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. And until next time, keep exploring.
See you next time.